The United States will spend more than $1 billion in new funding arming Ukraine after a historic appeal from the country's president to US Congress. In the video address beamed from the embattled capital, Kyiv, Volodymyr Zelenskyy pleaded with the lawmakers to send more weapons and demanded America be the leader of the world and the leader of peace.
But the US has made clear Ukraine's repeated calls for NATO countries to establish a no-fly zone will go unanswered. Instead, they'll be given more help to defend their own skies. All this as Ukraine and Russia remain cautiously optimistic peace talks could end almost 3 weeks of fighting. We'll get more from our correspondents in Ukraine a little bit later this morning. But first, let's go to US Bureau Chief Jade McMillan. So, Jade, good morning. Now, the Ukrainian president has made a very emotional plea for more support in that address.
Yeah, this is the latest in a series of addresses that Volodymyr Zelenskyy has been making to Western politicians. And just as he did when he spoke to the Canadian and British parliaments, his speech was tailored to the local audience. He referenced Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, replacing those famous words with I have a need, referencing Ukraine's need, he said, for more support. And he invoked memories of attacks on US soil at Pearl Harbor and on September 11 to reinforce his calls for a no-fly zone over Ukraine to prevent Russian air attacks. Now, Volodymyr Zelenskyy spoke through a translator at first, and he paused his address at one point to play a video. This was a video that had footage of Ukrainian cities in peacetime mixed together with really graphic images of buildings being targeted, of children crying, and bodies being thrown into graves. And after that video had played, he switched to English and delivered this personal appeal to his American counterpart.
As the leader of my nation, I am addressing the President Biden. You are the leader of the nation, of your great nation. I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
So in response, the US president has pledged more additional assistance.
Yeah, Joe Biden watched Volodymyr Zelensky's address from the White House. He praised the speech as convincing and significant. And in response, he has announced a new package of military support. This includes funding for drones and anti-aircraft systems at a cost of around $800 million US.
Now, I want to be honest with you. This could be a long and difficult battle, but the American people will be steadfast in our support of the people of Ukraine in the face of Putin's immoral, unethical attacks on civilian populations. We are united in our abhorrence of Putin's depraved onslaught, and we're going to continue to have their backs as they fight for their freedom, their democracy, their very survival.
Now, Ukraine will no doubt welcome that extra support, but the US and its allies are maintaining their opposition to helping to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine, that key request of the Ukrainian president. They warned that it would bring them into direct conflict with Russia. They're simply not going to take that step, and they say risk a broader war.